today I'm going to show you how to make this watermelon shaped raisin bread. Not that hard to do. Here we go. The bread recipe I'm using is a tried and true one. Starts off with 1 cup of milk and 1.5 tablespoons of butter. Put that in the microwave for about a minute until the milk is warm to the touch and the butter melts. And then add 2.5 tablespoons of white granulated sugar, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 8 grams or 2¼ teaspoons of quick rise yeast. That's 1 envelope's worth. I stirred that around and then realized I forgot my 1 egg yolk. Added that in and continued to stir. Now it's time to add the flour. The recipe calls for 3 cups of flour, but with any kind of bread making, that is only an approximation because you may add more or you may use less. So I continued to add flour to the bowl until I ended up with a dough that came together in the center of the bowl, but was still extremely sticky. There's no way you could knead this. I drew a line down the center of the dough ball just to kind of divide it into 2 pieces. And then I took 1/4 of the dough and placed it in one bowl, another 1/4 in another bowl, leaving half the dough in the large bowl. So dividing it into 3 pieces basically. For the larger piece, that's going to be the center or the pink part of the watermelon. I added a little bit of pink food coloring and then a little bit of red to try to get the shade of red that I was looking for the watermelon color. And now it's best to put the dye in at this point because it's easier to stir in. Now for the watermelon seeds, I'm using raisins. I added about 3/4 of a cup of raisins to the pink dough and just stirred them in. And at this point, it's okay to continue to add flour and continue to stir it in. Now, when the dough ball starts to chase your spoon around the bowl when you're stirring it, it's time to turn it out onto the countertop and to begin kneading it. So basically what you're doing is you're folding the dough in half, turning it, folding it, squishing it, turning it, folding it, squishing it. And that is kneading. And you add a little bit of flour to your countertop if the dough starts to stick. Eventually, after about 8 minutes or so, you'll get a nice, smooth, elastic dough. I just coated it with a little bit of flour, put it in the large bowl, placed some plastic wrap over it, and then placed it in a warm place to rise. What I do is I put them right in the oven with just the oven light on, and it gives it a nice place to rise. Now for the next piece of dough, which is going to be the green part, I did the same thing. I added a little bit of green food color until I achieved the color that I wanted, and then started to mix in more flour until I reached a consistency of dough that I could knead. And then I continued to knead it until I ended up with a nice elastic and smooth dough ball. And then it's the same idea. Take your dough ball, put it into the bowl. I covered mine with a little bit of flour, then plastic wrap, and then put it in a place to rise. Now for the last 1/4 piece, it's going to stay white, and I added flour and did the same thing, kneaded it until it was smooth and elastic. And what you're going to do is you're going to let the dough rise for about 2 hours or so until it's doubled in size. And the time it takes to rise will depend on how warm it is in your kitchen, basically. The warmer it is, the faster it rises usually. Now that's the pink dough that's doubled in size, and when it comes out, you kind of punch it down or squish it down to try to get rid of most of the air that's inside of it, and then form it into a log shape that is as round as you can get it. And the length of the log shape will depend on the size of your bread pan. The bread loaf pan you're using, you want to try to make it about that size. That's the white piece. Took it out of the bowl and I rolled it out with a rolling pin, and then brushed on a little bit of milk using a pastry brush. And I also brushed a little bit of milk onto the pink log shape as well. The reason you add the milk is you want these 2 dough layers to stick together, and the milk helps you do that. So I roll the white around the pink, and then just stretch up the ends and pinch the seams to seal them. And make sure you pinch them well enough so that it makes a nice seal, because you don't want your layers coming apart during the rising process or the baking process. And there's one thing about dough that's been kneaded, it transforms into a very elastic dough that you can stretch it quite a bit before it rips. It's very, very easy to use. Same thing with the green piece, roll it out. Big enough so that you can wrap that all the way around that white piece, a little bit of milk, and then cover the white log with the green piece. Sounds like I should be out saving whales. Then pinch the ends of the dough together, pinching along all the seams, and then spray a bread pan or loaf pan with some cooking spray or some butter, and then place your dough seam side down in the pan. Cover it with plastic wrap, and then you're going to put it in a warm place to rise. And you're going to let it rise until it doubles in size. Now the second rising is always faster. It takes about an hour, and there it is, ready to go in the oven. Put it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's golden brown, and when you tap it, it sounds like it's hollow inside. Let your bread cool completely before you slice it, and here we go, seeing how it turned out. And there it is. The watermelon with the rind, the white part, and the raisins look a lot like watermelon seeds, don't you think? This idea was inspired by one I saw on a blog, and I'll put a link in the description box, except this person used chocolate chips instead of raisins. And I did try it with the chocolate chips, but I found that when you sliced it, the chocolate chips smeared and made like streaks in the bread. And when they made theirs, they didn't put a white portion, they just put green. I was very happy with the end result when I did slice this up. And it tastes great. It tastes just like white bread. This bread recipe works for me every single time. You get a very nice light bread that's great for toast or sandwiches or whatever else you'd like. And I even cut it into little triangle shapes. You could even do little watermelon shaped toast points if you'd like. If you enjoy watermelon themed things, you might want to check out my watermelon goodies playlist. Go ahead and click right on your screen or click on the link in the description box to check out that playlist. So thanks for watching, and I hope you give some of these watermelon treats a try. Oh, and you all know that thumbs up make me happy, right? Bye-bye.